Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We are going to be strapping on our detective hats and stepping into the shoes of a real estate title sleuth. We're diving into exactly how you can track down hidden debts and encumbrances in Volusia County, Florida, using completely online public records. So, whether you are looking to buy a new property, or honestly, if you just want to know what's legally attached to your own home, to save yourself time, money, and potentially massive legal trouble down the road, you are definitely in the right place. Let's get into it. Okay, so picture this. This is the absolute nightmare scenario of real estate. Imagine finally buying your dream property, closing the deal, and then finding out weeks later that the previous owner left behind massive unpaid bills. And guess what? The local government is now holding you responsible. In Florida, liens ride with the land. They literally do not care who the owner is, and they don't magically disappear when a property changes hands. Failing to run a proper search means you could be inheriting thousands of dollars in hidden costs that you had zero clue existed. But don't worry, we're not going to let that happen to you. We've got a clear roadmap today. First, we'll look at the danger of hidden liens, then break down the different lien types, and introduce our bulletproof three-step search protocol. After that, we'll navigate the Volusia County online portals together, and finally wrap things up with some crucial resources and disclaimers. All right, jumping right into Section 1, the danger of hidden liens. Let's really look at why what you can't see can absolutely wreck your savings. Let's start with a rather scary number, 18%. Under Florida law, specifically Statute 197.432, if property taxes go unpaid, the county tax collector actually sells tax certificates at a public auction. Investors basically bid on paying someone else's taxes just to earn the interest. But what happens if there are absolutely no bids? Well, the certificate is what they call struck off to the county at a massive 18% interest rate. That is literally the highest rate allowed by Florida law, and it creates this incredibly heavy compounding financial burden for whoever takes ownership of the property next. Moving right along to Section 2, understanding property lien types. Because as you'll see, not all debts are created equal. At its core, the concept of a lien is actually quite simple. Think of a lien as a giant public sticky note on your property. It's a government or creditor's formal legal claim against the asset because a debt was neglected. It essentially clouds the property title to protect the creditor's interest. What that really means for you is that the property generally cannot be sold or refinanced with a clear title until that specific debt is completely satisfied. Now, liens basically come in two flavors. First, you have voluntary liens. These are completely expected, like a mortgage you willingly grant to a bank so you can buy a house. No surprises there. Then you have the dangerous ones, involuntary liens. These are things like IRS federal tax liens, state income tax liens, judgments from a random court case, or even construction liens filed by a contractor who never got paid. These involuntary ones, these are exactly what we are hunting for today. And here is the absolutely crucial point. Not all of these involuntary liens are even recorded in the main county index. Enter the terrifying world of unrecorded municipal liens. These can actually carry super priority status. So, if a previous owner didn't pay their water bill, Florida law makes that past due charge a statutory lien automatically. Or, say the city had to step in and mow a really overgrown lot or demolish an unsafe structure, or maybe they've just been levying daily code enforcement fines. These unrecorded debts will completely blindside a new buyer if they don't know where to look. Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, the three-step search protocol. This is your ultimate detective roadmap, because stopping at just a county-level search, that's a fatal trap. To ensure you're actually getting a clear title transfer on any property in Volusia County, you absolutely must use this structured workflow. Step 1. You start at the property appraiser to get the baseline parcel details. Step 2. You take that specific data over to the clerk of the circuit court to hunt down the recorded liens. And finally, Step 3. You have to drill down to the local municipal level to uncover those nasty unrecorded liabilities we just talked about. You literally cannot skip a step. You can kind of think of Volusia County's property records as being bifurcated into these three specific layers. You've got different authorities holding the data and specific targets you're trying to extract from each one. You hit the appraiser for the legal description and owners. Then you jump to the clerk for deeds, mortgages, and recorded judgments. And finally, you ping the local city for those sneaky utility and code fines. It's like a giant puzzle, and you need pieces from all three boxes. Okay, Section 4. Navigating the online portals. Let's actually execute this search and see how it works out in the wild. So step 1 starts at the Volusia County Property Appraiser's website. That's vcpa.vcgov.org. Now, before you even think about searching for debts, you have to precisely identify the property. A standard street address just isn't going to cut it here. You need to pull what's called the alternate key, the parcel ID, and, this is super important, the millage group. That millage group is critical because it tells you exactly which municipality actually governs the property, which you are 100% going to need for step 3. Once you've got the exact owner names and parcel data, step 2 is heading over to the Volusia County Clerk of Courts portal. When you get there, you're going to see a fork in the road. Court records versus official records. It's easy to get mixed up here. Court records are mostly for tracking active or closed litigation, criminal cases, or probate. But for our real estate sleuthing, you want the official records. This is the main repository for deeds, mortgages, and those recorded liens. A quick heads up, when you're searching the clerk's database, the system is incredibly sensitive to spelling. So always use the exact legal names of the individuals or businesses. If you aren't totally sure of a spelling, use wildcards or just partial names to cast a wider net. If you happen to already know a case number, definitely use that for direct access. And just keep in mind, Florida law dictates that certain records, like juvenile delinquency or specific family law matters, are legally confidential, so you won't be able to see those publicly anyway. All right, now for step 3, the municipalities. Remember that millage group you found back in step 1? That tells you exactly which city portal to check. And here's the kicker. Every single incorporated municipality in Volusia County manages its unrecorded liens differently. Take the city of DeLand, for instance. To check them, you actually have to dig through their online permitting portal. You submit a lien request using just the house number and street name, pay a small fee with a credit card, and then they'll email you a full report covering utilities, code enforcement, and fire violations. Navigating all these different quirky city portals can definitely feel overwhelming, which brings us to Section 5, Resources and Legal Disclaimer. Sometimes you just need to know when to call for backup. So you really have 2 main options here. You can totally do a DIY online search. The county websites are completely free, but it's very, very easy to miss unrecorded municipal debts, complex older document chains, or weird homeowners association assessments. On the flip side, you can hire a professional title company or use a specialized vendor like Orange Lien Data. They do the heavy lifting and compile all recorded and unrecorded liens into one single comprehensive report, ensuring absolutely nothing slips through the cracks. Now, as you're doing your research, keep these somewhat surprising Volusia County caveats in mind. Under the Florida Constitution, a debtor's primary residence, their homestead, is actually protected from forced sale to satisfy personal judgment liens, like, say, a massive credit card debt. Also, practically speaking, if you are paying for documents digitally with the clerk, expect a non-refundable 3.5% credit card fee. And most importantly, by law, Volusia County clerk employees are strictly prohibited from performing title or lien searches for you. You really have to do the legwork yourself or hire a pro. Which naturally brings us to our disclaimer. While this 3-step methodology we've outlined is evergreen and truly fundamental to Florida real estate, the specific digital interfaces, the fees, and the websites we discussed, those are always subject to change. This explainer provides an educational framework, but you should always consult a real estate attorney or a title expert for personalized, legally binding advice before closing on a property, or if you ever discover a surprising lien attached to your own name. Don't go it alone if you're out of your depth. So, I'll leave you with this somewhat provocative question to ponder. Do you truly know what hidden debts might be lurking in your own property's history? Well, by utilizing the Volusia County Property Appraiser, the Clerk of the Circuit Court, and your local municipal portals, you now actually have the tools to pull back the curtain and find out for sure. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy sleuthing out there.